Welcome. You've splash landed into this Prosecco-laden podcast, straight into the woo-woo pool with the Crew of Ohm-g. We're just a simple group of tragically imperfect and highly empathic BFFs, exploring a wide range of atypical topics with humor, grace, and curiosity. This is Ohm-g. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Part 2 with the Woo Crew. Here to talk again about some more Clairs, or Claras, as our good Texas friend calls them.
Moo.
You are here with the Clair crew of
Ohm-g, the podcast. Hello, everyone.
Let's have a rundown, y'all.
Okay, so in our last episode, you heard us introduce them all, and then we talked about 3. So we're going to do a brief rundown again. You've got your clairvoyance, and again, clair means clear. Voyance, clear seeing. You've got your clairaudience, clear hearing. You got your clair olfaction or clairalience, however you say it. I've heard it both ways. That's your clear smelling. So this time, we're going to go into the other 3, the fun ones. Well, they're all fun. Clairsentience. So that's clear feeling. You can feel something in your body. You can feel an emotion in your body, something tickling your foot. That's not actually tickling your foot. You can claircognizance, clear knowing. You don't know how you know, you just know, and it's coming out. And then you've got your clairgustance. That's your clear tasting. So when you really want that snack that Lisa was talking about in our last episode, Also huge shout out. Lisa's back with us this time.
Woo! 3 in a row. She's going to get a frequent flyer card, y'all.
And Chandra's back for this one. And I don't know what we did to deserve all this, but we need to do it again.
Yes. So we are going to talk about the other 3 we did not cover. So the other 3 Claras. The cows we have not covered.
So, cow cognizance.
So why don't we get clairgustance out of the way? Because, I'm hungry. And if we keep talking about it, we're going to get hungrier. So let's move that one on out.
So personally, I don't think I've ever experienced tasting something. So I'm going to let y'all handle that one.
I think you mentioned you had
I have had it several times throughout my life, and I thought it was just my food addiction. But
And that's why we love Lisa.
but I could be driving home from someplace and I taste, for example, a cheese enchilada, or I taste a taco, and I'm like, well, now I have to have that for dinner, and that's what I have to go prepare.
So mote it be.
Exactly. So I didn't know it was something that was,
and it's more than just a
category.
Man, I'm really craving a pickle. It's like I can taste it, I can feel it, and I just need it now. That's how I feel it. That's
that's exactly right.
Or if it's something, I'm like, man, it's something really salty, and I'm like suddenly so parched, and I can't get enough water. I'm like,
Sodium overload. And I don't know about you guys at home, but us here at the Ohm-g Podcast love a good pickle. Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, we do.
I don't think I've ever experienced... Well, actually, once I did. When we were talking earlier about like visualizing past lives and things. I've had other senses come through in that. And one of them was one time, I think we were at a spirit circle together. Who else would I be at one with? We were in a spirit circle.
Family.
Yeah, of course. Everyone get your Bible and your rosaries. We're going to go talk to the spirits. But we were sitting in a spirit circle, and I had this like experience of being in the woods alone. Like it was like a cabin. I almost said axe murderer. I don't know. I had an axe, like a, what do they call it? Lumberjack. I couldn't find the word. Lumberjack. And really like rough, gritty hands, very, like myself in this lifetime.
This sounds more like a fantasy than
Maybe I was reading a little erotica the night before.
That's just my personal perception.
His name was Dan and his chest was hairy.
Mm-hmm. My personal Prosecco. But in any case, out of all that, I smelled like chimney smoke. It was very cold and it was snowing, whatever. But I tasted like tobacco, and I've never been a tobacco user. I did it once at senior week in high school, or after I'd finished high school. drunk as a skunk. I had just shotgunned a Bud Light. So if that tells you anything.
Proud moment, y'all. Proud moment.
Mama. Okay, girl. Hope you
Weenie moment, but proud moment.
Yes. But anyways, I tried a cigarette from a friend and I immediately felt like I was going to throw up. And so I feel like looking back on it, that was Spirit's way of saying, you know, like you don't need that. So I've never, other than that one taste, I've never had tobacco before, but I had that warm tobacco taste in my mouth.
Yeah, the only
experience.
The only time I've ever had it happen was during a reading. And actually it was while Brenda and I were doing our woo-woo wisdom on Friday. And I didn't really say anything at the time because I didn't know what it meant.
Right.
I mean, I've since done a little meditation on it and kind of asked what it meant. But we were pulling cards for a certain friend of ours who submits questions probably every 2 or 3 weeks, right? And so we've read for her several times and have kind of gotten to know a little bit about her situation and blah, blah, blah. And I had a distinct taste of blood in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to say anything because, that could mean something,
Really bad.
or it could mean,
If you bit your tongue and you're going to.
right. It could mean a lot of different things in it, but it's kind of like it has a more negative connotation.
Sure.
Right. So I didn't say anything in the moment because I didn't have a clear knowing, which we'll get to later, but I didn't have like a feeling of like actually what it meant. So I had to do a little bit more, so now I know what that will be a symbol for me.
That's really
But
cool.
but that was kind of the only time I've ever had that happen.
And during your meditation or your time reflecting on that, what was your message about what that meant?
Well, it was about an approaching departure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've actually heard a medium. I think it was on TV. Might have been that Tyler Henry guy. Not sure.
Shout out that Tyler Henry guy.
Just saying. Love him.
He's so cute.
But I've heard a medium say before that when they get that salty metallic taste on their tongue, it indicates violent death.
Ooh.
Not necessarily one kind, but when violent death happens, you can think of the visual.
Yeah.
Well, that can be that person's symbol,
Past.
Yeah.
Mhm.
like the way they experience the message.
Right.
Could be different for you, Chandra.
I just think it was probably the first time I'd ever kind of gotten a message of that type.
Right.
About, a lot of times we pull cards for fun. And so, to get a message of, of a friend or a loved one's, imminent passing is,
Right.
that's not a lighthearted,
It's very heavy.
that's not a lighthearted, Spirit's got your back, sister. Here's the spirit card for you. So, I think it had to be something kind of visceral to get my attention so that they could give me the message. I don't know that will be like the one and only symbol I'll have for that going on.
Sure.
Right.
But it was to kind of get my attention, about that in the moment. So
Again, this is Alexandra. I'm going to jump back in here with the PSA again that I did last episode. As Brenda said, these symbols may not be the same for you, or they could change.
Right.
I've had things change for me. But if you are uncomfortable with experiencing something, you can totally tell the universe, your spirit guides, or say, hey, thank you. Not right now. This is too much right now. Let's dial it back until I'm comfortable. Then we can go forward, readjust, talk with the universe, let them know what you are open to accepting. And you're grateful that it came in. So just a quick coming back into the show.
Friendly reminder.
Yeah.
I have a quick question, and I don't know which Claire this would fall under, but I have an aunt who very much an empath, also extremely religious. For a long time in her youth up to young adulthood, when a family member or someone she knew was about to pass, she would hear 3 knocks. And it got to a point where it was so distressing to her that she grabbed the table one day and said, God, take this away. I don't want this gift anymore. It never happened again.
To me, that would be clairaudience. If you heard
Clairaudience.
the knocking.
Like 3 clear knocks, boom. And she knew within an hour or two she was going to get a call or hear
well,
news.
and too, if she is highly religious,
Yes. And it was scary.
But 3 in kind of like supernatural, paranormal is either the Holy Trinity or a mocking of.
Excellent point.
I've always heard the knocking. If you were experiencing something that was making you scared or uncomfortable, that was the mocking.
Yeah. But I feel like if she had already, made that situation analogous to the passing of a friend, and it was kind of like Spirit's way of warning her that was coming.
Yes.
That's a very kind of like loving
protection.
We're giving you a heads up. So to me, it feels like that was something she would
Bell toll.
that she would kind of connotate with religion,
Yeah.
with God, the Holy Trinity. It would give her that, I think that was being done as a, more
Like a courtesy.
like a courtesy or a consolation that, I mean, obviously,
Repair.
Yeah.
in the human experience, it's never fun to know ahead of time that a friend is going to pass. So I can see how it would,
Right.
make her feel a certain way. But I feel like that was
Also, the 3 is the ascended masters.
true.
Mm.
So it could have been, an angel
Saying here, hey,
coming
I'm
down
here to help you.
Well, just saying like, hey, this is going to happen. I'm going to give you the heads up
Right.
so that when you get the phone call,
Yeah.
it
You
won't
don't
be as
forget.
shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surely,
Sure.
just if she was a very, very religious person, whatever was
And
giving
a
her that
rock for a
head,
lot of people. So
whatever was giving her that heads up was trying to make it something that she would, associate with
She would understand.
higher
Yeah.
beings, and this person.
But I see how it could also be like anxiety inducing too, because you're like, oh God, who is it? And like
Yeah.
trying
Right.
to, so I see
The
her
not
growing.
knowing is the worst.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I say, like, in the human experience, I can see how that would cause a lot of distress. Yeah,
For sure.
absolutely.
Anyway, little segue there. The story just hit me.
Yeah.
So we've tasted,
Good.
and so
We're moving on to feeling, clairsentience.
Mhm.
So this is a feeling that you can get in your body. You can feel emotions in your body. You can just feel like a tingling. Every once in a while, my left foot will tingle, and to me, that indicates the feminine side. If something on my right might be masculine. My nose itches. It could be
a
just
storm's coming. Just
If
kidding.
you're from Palm itches, money's coming. That's an old
that's
saying.
an old saying.
Yeah.
But
Your toenails coming off. I don't know what's happening.
You're Brenda Sue.
That
Just Brenda
happens.
Sue.
Just as a disclaimer, Brenda Sue's toenail did come off in between the last recording. Of our
And that'll be
episode.
a future episode.
Sure.
Make no mark about it.
99 problems, and her toenail is one. Okay.
But we're going to take a quick break right now. But I will say, from my experience, clairsentience and claircognizance are probably two of the more difficult is the only word I can think of, but they're challenging. There you go. That's a very good word. Challenging of the clairs, because they're not cutting right. If you taste a taco, girl, you taste a taco. You know what I'm saying?
for the clair senses,
It's
they're not quite
Tuesday.
clear.
That's all it means.
Right, exactly. Exactly. To be called a clear knowing, that's, sometimes not how it feels when it's happening to you.
Sure.
So we'll get into that a little bit after the break.
Be right back.
Hi, this is Chandra. Brenda and I would like to invite you, as part of our podcast community, to join us on either Facebook or Instagram Live each Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern U.S. Time, where we give free oracle readings for fans of the show. Just follow us on our OMG Podcast Facebook or Instagram page. You can post or DM us your questions there each week with the hashtag WooWooWisdom, and then tune in at 11 a.m. each Friday on our page to watch your free reading. If you can't join us live, don't worry. You can always catch it on the replay. This is just our way of saying thank you for being part of our Woo Woo family. Hope to see you this Friday.
Hi guys, we're back. So we just took a little break, and I'm going to come back and jump off what Chandra was saying right before we left. And how sometimes for clear senses, cognizance and sentience can not be quite so clear. And I think sometimes they can also get intertwined. And if you're very comfortable with labeling things and knowing what part it is, that can kind of mess with your understanding with it, and sometimes communication with those parts of your intuition. So yeah, I sometimes feel like they get wrapped up in one another, and it can be hard to separate and then hard to distinguish, or hard to use together. So
Right.
it can be fun.
I totally get that. But if we're talking about clairsentience specifically, I know a lot of people that's kind of people that identify themselves as highly sensitive.
Yeah.
The empaths, the super empaths, the people who can walk into a room and be immediately just uncomfortable with the energy in the room. And, if you don't really know the reason behind your discomfort, or, what's causing that, or even protection mechanisms to not kind of soak in that energy that you're sensitive to. I mean, it can be a very challenging gift. I mean, I do consider it a superpower in and of itself, but it's just like anything else, it's just kind of like Thor and his hammer. You have to learn how to wield it before it becomes the blessing.
Lisa was talking about her niece in the last episode, and helping her along that path and setting those boundaries with the universe, people to say, I want this, I'm good with this, only this far right now. And it can be very hard when you're super sensitive just
Yeah.
to go.
And if you don't have those tools, I mean, like, I think about in one instance is my husband, you know, like he'll think like, what's wrong with me? Right. Like I come in and it's just overwhelming and everyone else is fine or seems fine, but it's too much for me to take in. And so it's like, nothing's wrong with you. You know, it's, yeah. So
You've got some
just what you're
gesticulating
saying.
over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, and two, I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I think a lot of times things like ADHD or things of that nature kind of, I'm not saying that one causes the other. I'm not saying that, you know, all empaths are, you know, misdiagnosed, quote unquote, or anything like that. But I mean, I think sometimes those kind of mentalities kind of, you know, if you are highly sensitive and you do take in, you know, if you walk into a room and you take in 10,000 bits of information and the normal person walks in and takes in 3,000 bits of information, your attention is going to have to be dialed back quite a lot to be able to function in society, right? So I think sometimes a lot of those kind of things maybe potentially go hand in hand because you develop these kind of quote unquote defense mechanisms until you learn who kind of
So
just
you
walks
can
into,
label it.
well, yeah, who walks into a room and goes, ooh, the energy's in here is freaking me out. You know, you don't, you do exactly what you were talking about with your husband is you think, what is wrong with you internalize it.
You take it as a deficit when really you need to stop, take a deep breath. I am at an advantage here and I better harness it with my golden lasso.
Exactly.
Like
Instead of shrink down in the corner and try to disappear because obviously the problem is mine.
Well, and the people who kind of use it to their advantage are the ones that kind of sit back in the corner and kind of make a note of like, I know what's going on with you, girl, or, you know, and kind of.
It's wonderful from a business perspective.
Yes.
It truly is. But
but again, when you can control it, I mean, when you have your own protections. I mean, I know we've talked about energy protection techniques and, you know, in several other episodes. So, but I mean, I think that's probably the most important thing for a clairsentient. And two, with sentience and cognizance, a connection to your body is also very important because, you know, like you can have certain, when we talk about feeling, a lot of times we talk about emotion, but it can also be, you know, a tightening of the throat or, you know,
I was hearing
or
burning of the tongue,
sweating.
which on that sense, burn, like if you feel like a burning on your tongue or an itchiness on your tongue, it would not be clairgustance because you're not tasting a specific taste or food object. It's a sensation in the body. Right. So I don't know why I was hearing burning tongue. So if anyone has a burning tongue, drop us a comment. Let us know.
Nothing to do with our jalapeno watermelon mocktail.
Right. That's been a while.
But you know, the ability to quote unquote read a room is really someone who's just harnessed that, I think, as opposed to let it overwhelm them.
Absolutely.
And that being said, I would really strongly recommend having a practice of how you process things. Like it could be meditation or writing, if that's how you process what you get, just having that thing that you can fall back on and say, hey, okay, this is a space where I can process, I can work through, understand, move forward kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, for the clairsentient self-care is, you know, predominantly it's of the greatest importance because you do, you know, tend to absorb the, you know, the collective, the things around you, and so you really have to, just like you said, the journaling or whatever, but make time to take care of your own self.
Right, the energy has to go somewhere, right? So if you don't have a tool to use, whether it's journaling or meditation or talking with a friend or whatever your tool is to get rid of it, it's going to
energetically purge. Without your permission sometime.
But it has the potential to get stuck and cause, you know, or imbalance in the body or whatever.
Or you erupt over a shoelace that's not tight enough.
And for those of you who aren't here to see the gloriousness that's going on in the room, we are out of Prosecco. So it's sad.
There are screams going on. There are
silent scream.
Talk about a violent death. My God.
No one trained Angel on how to go downstairs and get us a bottle. And I'm disappointed in that a little bit.
These puppies are useless.
Well, let me ask everyone a question. Could everyone, and I'm asking this only because I believe everyone can, give an example of a time that they channeled or got a boom message where Iyanla Van Zant, when you know, like you know, like you know.
So you want to move on to claircognizance?
Yes.
All right. So again, last one is claircognizance, so clear knowing. Don't know how you know, you just know.
So this is Chandra, and I have an excellent example of this. And it was kind of like right when I first started trying to open up to my intuition, and it kind of came out of nowhere. So I was doing my morning rituals.
Mm-hmm.
I usually took 30 minutes in the morning to sit down before I left to go to work. And I would meet with my spirit guides. Here's, I've got this meeting today. Please help me, spirit guides, to not punch so-and-so in the throat because I know she's going to be in that meeting. And I've got, this call at 4:00 and,
Right.
Help me to know what to say in that meeting, to not look like an idiot. And, because my boss is going to be there and I need to look like I know what's going on. That kind of thing,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Mama likes to keep her paycheck.
Yes, exactly. Please help Mama keep her paycheck. But, and then I would sit for a little while and I would, in quiet, and try to receive any messages that, that they had for me, hoping that they would say, okay, girl, in your 4:00 meeting, you need to talk about, whatever. Right. And as I was sitting there, I get more and more uncomfortable. And I'm thinking, and like I said, I had just started my intuitive journey. And the thought that popped into my head is, girl, you don't know what you're playing with. You need to protect yourself. And I hadn't been doing the aura bubble like every single day. And I thought, well, okay, today I'll practice the aura bubble. So I stood up in the middle of the room and I started, just breathing in and projecting my aura out and visualizing and doing the whole thing. And as I'm doing that, the thought pops into my head, or what I'm saying is, may the exterior of this bubble shield me from any negativity. May only, happiness and joy exist inside the bubble. No negativity can penetrate this shell. And as I said that, the thought popped into my head. And no negativity can be created within its shell. And I'm like, where the heck did that come from?
Turn that mirror around.
Right.
Wow.
And so I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to run with it. May no negativity be created in the shell. I get to work that day, and I kid you not, by 8:15, the layoffs started. 2 of my people and another 2 within my extended group were laid off without us knowing it was coming. I wasn't told ahead of time. I actually got called into a conference room by my boss's boss while one of my employees was in another conference room being let go, to be told she was being let go. And y'all, I kid you not, I held my stuff together like a pro. I was there for everybody else in my department.
Yeah.
Guys, just give me a few days. We'll make a plan. We'll get through this. It's okay.
Right.
Da.
Reassurance.
Hugging the people who had been let go. Oh dear God, I'm going to cry.
Right.
But and just letting them know that you're going to be fine. You're great at this. You're great at that. You'll land on your feet. Da. Now,
I had nothing to do with this shit.
now
Out of
Liz
my
got
control.
home, she lost her stuff.
Of course.
But for that day, I had the strength that I needed, and I don't know how I knew I needed to do all that protection.
You have to trust and go with it.
day.
That's the core of all of this.
Yeah, and so I completely attribute that whole scenario to claircognizance.
I think that sometimes I'd almost say it's what kids probably have the most of. They just kind of know things
before we squash it. For
and
them.
we train it out of people, and it's just that thing that it's not even in the back of your head. You're just like, I'm not supposed to go this way, or this person's not that good for me, and you can't explain why, and they've done nothing wrong, and they haven't exhibited anything that would go, I don't really like this person. And you're like, I don't want to be around you.
Right.
I'm gonna say listen to that stuff because it's so important.
Yes.
And claircognizance kind of exhibits itself through the solar plexus. So it's kind of like that quote unquote, that gut feeling when you just kind of like get that punch in the gut and you just kind of know that thing.
Yeah.
I'm interested in Brenda's suit.
Yes.
I want to know what.
You've been quiet.
What
That
did you
ain't
just
right.
know, girl?
Gemini speak.
Yes, the other Gemini in the room was going to have something to say now.
She's got one less toenail, but she's going to pop off. Go ahead, sis.
She really did pop off that lip.
But sorry.
So one big, I know was about doing this podcast.
Yeah.
It was like,
Last summer.
this needs to be done. And I know it is going to be important for all of us in some way. Is it going to make us $1 million? I don't know. Is it going to make us 10 million? I don't know.
Only when
If
we
you're,
need that.
if you're a sponsor,
Right.
shout out. Okay.
The answer is yes.
But I know that we needed to do this for whatever reason. And I feel like it's going to be a catapult for all of us to go to the next level in our development in whatever way that means for
This
each
might be
one
our
of us.
shadow work for all we know.
It might be because we're talking about a lot of shit.
And for those of you listening to our shadow work, girl, thank you. Okay. Because y'all been here with us since the beginning.
Y'all should get a Prosecco coupon.
And we will be doing more.
Yeah.
So we hope
Hashtag Costco, send out those coupons.
Yes.
we hope you join us on our journey of shadow work, and as we join you on your journey of shadow work.
Oh,
what
Lord.
fun times.
I do want to say one more thing about claircognizance is I think the thing about it that, and I know that this was the part about it that going into it, I didn't understand, is how intrinsically tied into your body it is.
Yeah.
I mean, like sometimes we think about, knowing being completely in the brain or being completely in the mind. But it wasn't until I heard this description that I really realized that that's kind of what I was. And they were talking about how sometimes your body just won't let you do the thing. Like sometimes the example will be like, you get to the stop sign and normally you turn left. And for some reason, you just can't make yourself turn left and you have to go the other way or you have to take another direction. What we were talking about before about you feeling like it's all about you and you beating yourself up. So another corporate America story. Apologies in advance. But, when I was working in an office environment, I would have these projects and I would start the project and I would create a folder and I would lay it on my desk and I would, put it in the corner and I'm like, it's ready to work on.
Yeah.
And every time I would get time to work on it, I would look at that folder and I'm like, something in me just would not let me pick it up. I would go do something else and the days and the weeks would go by and I would get to the point where it's like, if I don't start that project,
the deadline is coming.
I'm not going to be done in time. And still my body, it was just like, physically, I couldn't I would pick it up, I would start, but physically I could not think about it.
Yep.
Like it was, I just had all of this resistance in my body. And I kid you not, inevitably, I never had it happen where I had a project late. Inevitably, the customer would change their mind. It would go in a different direction. Yep. The order would be canceled. So it was, I came to realize all those years, I was like, you procrastinator, you're just lazy.
Right.
You don't want to work on it.
Non-productive.
Non-productive, internalizing all this stuff. And really it was spirit keeping me from wasting my time on something that wasn't going to go anywhere anyway.
Right.
Like writing a book.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Shout out to Lisa and I. It's in the corner.
When you have all the ideas in your head, the words will flow.
That's right.
That's
right.
Exactly
but I mean,
right.
that's also a example of claircognizance.
That's a guardian angel example. That's what that is.
For people who may be experiencing that and may be like, feeling really bad about themselves, that it really could be just that you know that this is not
going to do anything.
Right. I also could say that with your Aaron and Lisa's books, it can almost be like, not right now.
Exactly.
It's like, this is not the moment.
Not the right time to publish.
And when the moment happens, you'll know.
Maybe you need 60 years of experience, not 50s, before you tell your story.
That's right.
100%.
Or it needs to be a spring or something.
Or there's one more layer of healing that you need to be able to completely and unabashedly tell this story.
That's the word that came to me was healing.
Yeah.
And I do, to make a full circle, I do believe that the unexpected show on mothers and the hot topic.
Go back and listen to it if you haven't.
I do believe that was not planned, that was not expected.
Yeah.
But boy, did it create some healing in me as a guest. And maybe that is something that I can finally put a bow on and move on.
Yeah.
And that, so.
Girl, don't make me cry.
I know.
We already been doing that.
Yes. And just like a knowing, I mean, so I feel like, and maybe this is part of like me discrediting something, but I feel like I'm still a baby on my spiritual journey, and I've always been an empath, always felt people's emotions, and I've been a sponge and took them in. And I think I realized earlier on a break that as a teacher, for the past 4 years of my career, I have had an energy hangover. Like some of us experience after readings of the summer solstice, it was a wonderful experience, but you're just taking on so many people's energy. And so at the end of the day, I'm thinking I need my glass of wine. I need a nap.
You deserve this.
Exactly. Right. You know,
Mama needs a vodka Xanax latte.
A vodka Xanax latte nap.
Child free.
Exactly. But so I am by no means any kind of Reiki master or certified in anything, never even taken a Reiki class before. But as a group, we will do intuitive development stuff from time to time. And probably a year or two ago, we did an energy session that has always stuck with me. And it was kind of, we just tuned into like Reiki healing. And I believe that it was Allie from our show that was laying on the table. And it was a few of us that were there. Do you remember this? Okay. So we were there and I just like had my eyes closed, my hands just hovering above her body. And all of a sudden,
That sounds really funny.
It does. Sorry. Yeah.
My hands were hovering above her
body. They were like above like her belly area.
And she was hovering above the table.
She was hovering on the table. I didn't hover. Exactly. But she was on the table and my hands were hovering probably 2 to 3 feet above her belly. And I asked Spirit to lead me to where I needed to go to help heal any sort of pain or physical ailments or whatever. And I saw and felt, if that makes sense, any of you listening, the color green, like a dark forest green. And my body swayed, like it was almost like a magnet.
Yeah.
Went to her left ankle. And so I was like, all right, girl. So I moved down to her left ankle and I still kept my hands above, right? And I was trying to channel the energy to help heal whatever was going on. And so afterwards we were debriefing and, asking like, what did you experience? What did you feel? What did you sense? Whatever. And she was like, who is at my left ankle? And I was like, oh my God, this is my moment to shine, So I explained that it was me and that I was being drawn to that specifically. And she said like 2 weeks prior, she had sprained her left ankle and she'd been really having trouble with it. And we had not spoken about this at all. And so I was like, girl, look at God,
Ain't he good?
Yeah, ain't he good? Won't he do it? He said he'd do it, So it was a really cool, like knowing that in that moment, that person needed that energy kind of feeling. And she said she felt a shift in her ankle.
I'm glad that you bring that up because, we think about it as ego.
Yes.
But when you're talking about your spiritual journey and developing your intuition, we all do need that validation. I mean, you weren't looking for her to say,
oh, sure.
Glory be, Aaron, you healed me.
Yeah.
But, or
watch me run.
Right. Or give you the praise for that.
Right.
But to get the validation that what you felt, what you thought you knew was actually a really thing.
Spiritual journey,
right. You get that confidence to then take that. So now it's not scary anymore.
Exactly.
Now you can take that. Now when it's the next thing you know, you can take it to the next level. You can allow a little bit more in next time. So I that's totally, validation is super important when it comes to intuitive development.
Yes. And especially maybe we'll do an episode one day, I think we will, about love languages.
Yeah.
But one of mine is words of affirmation. Speaks
we love
nothing
you,
to me.
Aaron.
Thank you guys. Okay, sound off in the comments. Do you love me? Yes or no? But one of mine is words of affirmation. And I think that was a version of that, right? Like it resonated with me because that's one of my love languages is, oh my God, I was right in this moment and I shouldn't doubt myself. And
I think it was kind of cool if you want to break it down into pieces that it was like, it was claircognizance of knowing and then it was clairsentience because you felt your whole body being drawn. So that's really cool.
Well, and it was also clairvoyance because you saw green and green is like heart chakra. It's healing. It's a very a color very related to healing.
Right.
Yeah.
So definitely be open to however you get messages. They can all happen at the same time, separately. Just ask for what you want. And if something's too much, say, hey, thank you, but let's back off for a little bit. And you are in control of your own destiny. Go ahead.
No, and that's absolutely communication with your spirit guides is probably the biggest tool that you have when it comes to development.
So if you guys like this content, I almost said comment. If you like this commentary and this content, go ahead and like and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave us a comment on our website or wherever you listen. Tell us how much you enjoy it. Get engaged with us.
Give us ideas for next time, please.
Yes.
Love to hear from you.
One other thing is on the week, so I know we come out with episodes twice a month, and thank you for listening. And on the off weeks, quote unquote, Brenda Sue Jean Jolene Louise III writes a newsletter once a month. And then I myself, Aaron Seabolt Behringer, we need to come up with something more creative, but does also come up with a newsletter once a month. So if you're interested in what we have to say, our family musings, our family trauma,
there are 19 toenails between them.
As of right now, this will be the title of the next one. There are 19 toenails between us. A Brenda and Aaron memoir.
But you can sign up for our newsletter and our bio link on our Instagram page.
Yes.
If you want to support us, go ahead and consider donating to us on our Buy Us a Coffee page, as we affectionately call our Buy Us a Bottle. We love you all. We'll catch you next time.
See you later, guys.
Bye, guys. Mwah.
Thank you for joining us today. Please follow and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a review. It's so easy to do and such a huge help for us. We appreciate your interactions so much. Want to join us at our table? Make sure to check out our YouTube channel and join our Facebook community. If you've enjoyed this content and wish to support us, take a look at our Patreon page. All information and links will be in our podcast description. Catch you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM. Women's voices amplified.